Hello dear friends, this is your personal English coach Professor DC, and in this video we will be understanding a very interesting poem written by D.H. Lawrence. It goes by the name of Afternoon in School, the Last Lesson. Before we begin with the poem, let's get to know the author a little bit, and then we will understand this poem line by line, word by word, in depth. The full name of D.H. Lawrence is David Herbert Lawrence. He was born on 11 September 1885 and died on 2nd of March 1930. And as you already know, he was an English writer and poet. His collected work represent, among other things, an extended reflection upon the dehumanizing effects of modernity and industrialization. Some of the issues D.H. Lawrence explores are sexuality, emotional health, vitality, spontaneity, and instinct. Having known about the author, let's dive into the poem. First of all, let's try and understand the title. From the title itself, we can easily make out that the events have unfolded in a school in between 12 noon to 5 p.m. in the evening, which is nothing but afternoon. And something has happened when the last lesson was being taught. We are not aware at this point that the last lesson was of which subject, but we can assume that the last lesson would have been the final lesson of the day. So at this point, we know that there is a school, there is afternoon, and the final chapter is being taught. Alright, let's move on. As I do it in my other video explanations, particularly of the poems, I have placed the poem on the left side of the page with the meanings of difficult words on its right, to make it very easy for you to understand. What you can do is pause my video and write it down in your textbooks as we go along, because there is an amazing connection between your hand and your brain. Things that you write, paying full focus, paying full attention, get stored in your mind quickly. Let's start with the first line. And friends, in this poem, it is very important that you read the poem carefully, because there are higher chances of you misunderstanding the whole idea if a particular sentence is not read properly. So what does the first line say? When will the bell ring and end this weariness? So who are the people usually inside a classroom? Of course, it is the teacher and several students. Now either one of the student or the teacher is thinking out loud about the ringing of the school bell. Because of the extreme tiredness, because of extreme fatigue, something has caused extreme tiredness and boredom and fatigue, which is why someone is waiting for the school bell to ring. So I've given serial numbers to the line to make it even more easier. Second line, how long have they tugged the leash and strained apart my pack of unruly hounds? To tug is to pull something. Leash is nothing but a rope. Strained apart means force apart. You must have already heard the word pack. We usually say pack of dogs. Unruly is indisciplined, disobedient, and hound is nothing but a dog which is used for hunting. To make this sentence very simple, you can imagine a group of hunting dogs tied by a rope and trying to free themselves. So now it is very clear that these are the thoughts of a teacher. This teacher is comparing the students with the pack of unruly hounds. So we also get to know that the students are disobedient, indisciplined, disinterested. And looking at the disinterested and disobedient students, the teacher feels as if his command, his order, his instructions is making them forcefully sit and listen. His instructions are compared to that of a rope which is being pulled by the students forcefully so that they can break free. So the teacher thinks, how long have these students forcefully pulled the rope to get rid of my instructions, to get rid of my teachings? So friends, I'm very sure you must have experienced this situation in your own school, where there is a teacher, the teacher is trying to explain, but the students are not able to understand. And even then, they are sitting and forcefully paying attention. Now the case might be reverse. The teacher is excellent, but the students are not interested. So either the teacher is excellent and the students are not interested, or the students are ready to learn, but the teacher is incompetent. And therefore this situation arises. There is a total disconnect between the teacher and the students. And as a result of this, the students don't want to learn and the teacher do not want to continue teaching them. Next line. I cannot start them again on a quarry of knowledge they hate to hunt. So a quarry is an animal pursued by a hunter. So here the students who hate to grasp the knowledge from the teacher is directly compared to a hunter who hates to hunt for a particular animal. But what is the meaning of the line, I cannot start them again? So let's assume that the lecture or the period is of 1 hour. Half an hour is already gone, it is afternoon. And it is clear to the teacher that the students are not understanding whatever he is teaching. And a good teacher, a kind teacher, would take efforts and repeat or reiterate the whole thing to make sure that the student understands. But here in this poem, in this situation, in this case, the teacher is disinterested. The teacher says, I cannot teach them everything again. I'm not going to start all over again. Anyway, they hate to understand whatever I am teaching. This teacher is convinced that the process of learning and teaching is not happening at all, and he does not want to keep going. Next line. I can haul them and urge them no more. To haul is to pull or drag with effort or force. The teacher thinks, I cannot pull or drag these students to keep on learning anymore. I don't want to take any more efforts which are anyway futile to make these disinterested, disobedient students understand what I am teaching. This is enough. I am done. Next line. No more can I endure to bear the brunt of the books that lie out on the desks. To bear the brunt is a nice phrase which means to put up with worst of some bad circumstances. Again, you can imagine a typical classroom with maybe 40 to 50 desks for the students, and in front of them is a table and a chair. There is a teacher who is extremely tired and fatigued. The teacher is sitting on a chair or maybe standing, and on the table there are some papers and books and other stuff. So there is something inside the books which are placed on the table which really pisses off the teacher, which really disgusts the teacher. So let's find out what is inside those books. A full 60 of several insults, of blotted pages and scrawl, of slovenly work that they have offered me. First, you have to understand the meaning of the word score. Score is not the score we refer to in football or cricket. One score is 20. So 60 will be 60. Now as the process goes, the teacher would have given the students some assignment or some paperwork, some homework, which the student have it in their books. So here we get to know the number of students in the class. There are 60 students, and each student has a book lying on his desk, lying on her desk, and this teacher is very sure that the pages inside those books will be blotted, meaning stained or marked, with insult. The teacher is certain that the students would have scrolled in their books, meaning would have written hurriedly and carelessly in their books. So what is it that the teacher cannot take it anymore? He cannot take the badly written. It may be assignment, it may be homework, or any form of paperwork that the students in the class are offering. Furthermore, of slovenly work that they have offered me. Slovenly meaning untidy and dirty. This teacher does not have patience or love for the dirty and untidy work that the disinterested students are offering. So, to endure means to suffer. The teacher does not want to suffer by checking their assignments, by checking their homework, by checking the paperwork that the students have done, because he is very sure that students would have accomplished that in a hurried, careless, untidy and dirty way. And also because the teacher is already tired. Next line. I am sick and tired more than any thrall upon the wood stacks, working weirdly. Let's go word by word. Let's take the first line first. I am sick and tired more than any slave. I am sick and tired more than any servant or a captive. Doing what? A servant who is made to work upon the wood stacks. So you can imagine a servant working on the stack of wood on a near constant basis. You can imagine a slave or a captive working with a pile of wood. It may be cutting the logs or maybe arranging them. And then you can also imagine how tired that servant, captive or a slave would have been undertaking this tedious and cumbersome task. So this teacher is comparing himself with a worn out servant. This teacher is thinking that the students have no interest anyway. This teacher finds everything pointless and keeps on complaining about the activity, keeps on complaining about the learning and teaching process. Because while undergoing through this process, he is getting extremely sick and tired. Moving on to the next and final stanza of the poem. The second and the final stanza starts with a question and an answer. So what is the question? And shall I take the last dear fuel and heap it on my soul till I rouse my will, like a fire to consume their dross of indifference and burn the scroll of their insults and punishment? I will not. Let's understand what the question is. Now we already know that the teacher is extremely tired, but there is little energy still left. Now the teacher is thinking and actually questioning himself. This energy that I have left inside me, am I really going to waste this energy on these students? So there is a metaphor here. Putting some fuel on your soul so that the energy rises. The last fuel that is left. So the teacher is thinking, this last fuel, this small energy that's left in me, am I going to pour it on my soul, which will result in energy, which will result in fire, just to suffer their dross of indifference, meaning their worthlessness, their lack of interest, concern or sympathy. So there are two things here. The teacher thinks, should I waste my energy in tolerating their lack of interest, or maybe going through their assignments and paperwork which has nothing but dirty and lazy work? Am I going to punish myself by suffering their dross of indifference and scroll off their insults? And we know the answer, I will not. The teacher says, I'm not going to waste my energy, the little energy that's left in me. He thinks it is not at all worth his effort to destroy himself in order to help those who do not wish, do not desire to get helped. Line number 17, I will not waste myself to embers for them. To understand this word called embers, let me ask you a question. Have you seen maybe a campfire or a fireplace? And then, have you noticed how a hot fragment of wood or coal is left from a fire and is glowing or smoldering, which indicates the dying fire? That is nothing but amber. So that amber for this teacher is nothing but the energy that he has left. He says, I'm not going to waste the little energy that I have on these students. Not all for them shall the fires of my life be hot, for myself a heap of ashes of weariness. The teacher thinks that I'm not going to waste the fires of my life, meaning the energies of my life, on them. On who? On the students. I'm not going to burn off my energy for these students. So here the teacher insists that he will not let himself become a heap of ash from burning himself out by trying to do the impossible, by wasting his energy on the students who are not at all interested to learn. So the teacher has compared his own life with that of a dying fire, and now all we have is amber. So the meaning of this line, till sleep shall have raked the embers clear. So when can the embers be clear? When the fire completely extinguishes, meaning when life goes away out of the body, when death happens. But for this teacher, he is promising himself something. He is taking a vow. Till my death comes, I am going to keep some strength for myself. I will keep some of my strength for myself. He is going to invest this little energy and time on something that he loves to do instead. He is not going to waste the last of his motivation and strength on these students. And the final lines, for if I should sell it all for them, I should hate them. I will sit and wait for the bell. If I should sell it, sell what? Sell the little energy that's left. For them. For whom? For these students. If this little energy is wasted on these students, then I should hate them, the teacher says. I will hate them even more. It's worthless. And if he does so, then nothing's gonna change. And so, giving up all the hopes of making the students understand, of teaching them, now this teacher is patiently waiting for the bell to ring. Now this teacher is waiting for the period to get over, and he has settled down on that chair meant for the teachers. He is thinking, neither these students are ready to learn, nor I am interested in teaching. So just as they are waiting for the bell to ring, let me also sit and wait for the bell to ring. Having said that, we come to the end of this poem. And do you know this poem had 6 stanzas originally? Yes, you heard it right. But those were not very important, and so only the first 2 stanzas are considered in your syllabus. Also, this poem is full of metaphors. Tugged the leash, pack of unruly hounds, last dear fuel of life. Now all of these are meant to show how rebellious the children were and how frustrated and confused the teacher was. So friends, I hope you've understood this poem. If you still have doubts, please feel free to mention your doubts, questions in the comment section below, and I will try to resolve them. If you have any chapter or poem that you are unable to understand, let me know in the comment section and I will be more than happy to help you. If you have some suggestions, feedback, some recommendation on my style or method of teaching, you are most welcome to let me know. I have uploaded almost all the chapters and poems that are in your syllabus. And how can you search them? Just go to YouTube, go to the search bar, type the title of the chapter or poem, give a space and then type Professor DC. And you should find it. If not, let me know in the comment section. I hope I was not the type of teacher mentioned in this poem. And I'm also very sure that you are not at all the type of student referred in this poem. I thank you for watching, and I hope you have a blessed day ahead.